Welcome, folks, to McAllister's Main Street Downtown Ghost Tour, a journey into McAllister's rich history and the lives and deaths of the pioneers who were responsible for the birth and growth of our great city as you see it here tonight. Our first stop on this ghostly trek through history is the old South McAlester and Eufaula Telephone Company Exchange Building. It looks tonight as it did 115 years ago. In 1902, a newfangled invention called the telephone was spreading like wildfire across Indian Territory, soon to become the state of Oklahoma. Can you imagine? No longer would a poor soul find it necessary to run on foot, ride a horse, or navigate a wagon through the dark, dangerous countryside to get a message to Doc Stevens in the middle of a stormy Oklahoma night. In 1902, a telephone exchange, like this one, employed many operators who were the first line of communication when a phone call was placed. You see, back then, every phone, in every home, and in every business required its own unique wire, and a phone operator had to manually route the phone call from the caller's home to the phone of the person being called. Each operator sat at a large console called a switchboard that contained all kinds of switches, plugs, jacks, lights, and wires. It was their job to connect a jumper wire, called a patch cord, between the two phones involved. McAllister's local phone operators were well known and were often on a first-name basis with everyone in town. Tonight's ghostly story is about Sarah Wallace, a young, energetic new employee of the South McAlester and Eufaula Telephone Company, located right here in this building in the early 1900s. On a stormy night in the spring of 1902, Sarah helped Jonathan summon Doc Stevens as Betty went into labor with her first child. What happened during that frantic phone call is the rest of the story.
Jonathan! Wake up. It's time.
What? Okay. I'll call the doc. Breathe, honey. Just breathe.
Operator, may I help you?
Sarah, get me Doc Stevens, quick. Betty's having the baby now.
Lord almighty, Jonathan. On a night like this? Hang on, and tell Betty to hang on too. I'll ring the doc.
Dagnabbit, telephone ringing in the middle of the night. You better be bleeding or dying.
Doc, it's Betty. She's having it now, right now.
She's having a fit?
No, Doc, she's having the baby.
You see, the approaching storm that night brought with it one of everyone's worst fears back then: lightning. As in many times before, the night manager had already cleared the switchboard room of all of its operators, except one. Sarah Wallace would not leave her switchboard because she wanted to stay on the line with Jonathan and Betty until Doc Stevens arrived to help. The night manager shouted one more time before heading to the basement. "Sarah, unplug now and take off that headset. The storm is almost here." But young, dedicated, and caring Sarah, the new employee, would not leave Jonathan and Betty alone when they needed her most. Just as the storm entered the downtown business district, a devastating bolt of lightning struck the switchboard's wiring. In the blink of an eye, everything was deathly quiet inside the room. No buzzers, no ringing bells, no lights, nothing.
Sarah, are you there? Sarah, if you can still hear me, it's the doc. He's here.
Betty's healthy baby was born without complications, and all was well. Credit given to a newfangled invention called the telephone and a dedicated operator named Sarah. But all was not well. After the storm had passed, the night manager and his crew of thankful-to-be-alive employees made their way up from the safety of the basement, back up to the second floor switchboard room. someone shouted, "Where's Sarah?" and the door was slowly opened. You see, Sarah never left her post. She would not leave Jonathan and Betty alone in their greatest time of need. They found Sarah, sitting upright at what was left of her smoldering switchboard, headset still firmly in place, and her hand holding the phone plug securely in its receptacle. The room was a direct hit, and Sarah was quite dead. So, for the last 115 years, folks around these parts get a little nervous when a spring thunderstorm approaches the city of McAlester in the wee hours of the night. For many have sworn it to be true. If the phone rings in the middle of a storm, don't answer it. For Sarah Wallace, one of McAllister's young pioneer phone operators, might just be sitting at her old switchboard, hoping to help someone in need.